Matt from Soulless Innovations. On today's episode, we'll be installing one of our bolt-on backhalves for the 65 to 72 short wheelbase F100s. First step in installing the backhalf is getting your bed removed. Once you have the bed removed, you're going to want to come in here and any wiring, fuel lines, brake lines, anything you don't want damaged during the installation of this, you're going to want to pull that out of the way. You can pull it forward. You can, if you're redoing all of it, you can go ahead and rip it all out, get it all out of there completely. Just somehow get it out of the way, especially fuel lines and brake lines, and the wiring for that matter. If we're reusing the factory wiring, make sure you get all that out of the way good so that you don't damage any of it when you start cutting on this thing. To start off with, we're gonna be removing the rivets that hold on this leaf spring hanger and the crossmember in between the two frame rails. You're gonna want a cutoff wheel of some sort, whether it be an electric grinder or an air grinder. You're gonna want a chisel. You can use an air chisel or you can use a hammer and chisel, as well as a punch, whether it be a hammer and punch or an air punch. You're also going to want your protective equipment such as gloves and a pair of safety glasses. We don't want anybody getting hurt out there. So now, let's get this project started. In order to knock these rivets out, if you've never done this before, the best method I've found is to cut an X or a plus in the head of the rivet, and then come back with your chisel, and it'll knock the head off a lot easier, and then you can drive it out with your punch. Now that we have those leaf spring hangers and the inner crossmember out of the way, we're going to come in here and we'll find the top hole, the rear top hole from our crossmember rivet, and from the center line of that hole, we'll measure back 1 3/4 inches and make a mark. This mark doesn't have to be 100% exact. You just want to be in the range of 1 3/4 inches, because that's where we're going to cut our frame off. Take us a square, draw us a line across there, bring our line down. That's where we're going to cut our frame off. I've already marked that side, so now let's get into cutting it off. Now that we have that back half out of the way, we can get all this prepped to slide our new rails on. For this part of the process, I like to use a grinder with either a wire wheel or a flap disc. All we're doing is taking the surface rust off and any burrs that may be here that'll impede us from sliding our new rails on. Alright, now that we have all that cleaned up, we can start fitting our rails. One, you just want to pretty much line your holes up as best as possible for now. We'll grab our other rail from over here. Now that we have our rails on and holes lined up, we'll install our 4-link bolts. And you just want to loosely bolt everything until we get all of our bolts in. Now that we have our rails and 4-link fit and loosely bolted up, we'll get our bridge put in. And again, we're just going to loosely bolt everything. I don't want to tighten anything up yet. I want to get everything lined up, all your bolts in and started before you start tightening things down. Now, once we have the bridge in, we'll put the rear cross member in. Now that everything's loosely bolted up, we'll get this jack out of our way. With the jack out of our way, we'll move on to our inner stiffening plates for our center cross member. We'll slip right in. They're going to be a little bit snug, so you may have to tap on them. I recommend a rubber mallet for that. Doesn't take much. You just want to go in in until you get the holes lined up. These will get a 3/8 bolt top and bottom. And again, we're just loosely bolting everything. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Now that we got these boxing plates in, one thing to notice that I should have mentioned before I put them in is these are site specific. So you want to make sure you pay attention to which one is left and which one is right. There'll be an L stamped on the left one and an R stamped on the right one. We got the jack back up here to help us line this up. You just want to jack it up into place until you line your bolt holes up, or you can drop it like I just did. Jack it up into place. And get your bolt started. Now that we have everything installed, we can pull a couple measurements, make sure it's square, and then we can tighten it all down.